very special edition of the Spideydude experience. If you're watching this episode, you're going to be seeing a lot of visual aids, but if you're listening to this episode, I highly recommend you go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Spideydude Radio Network. This episode is going to be devoted to one of my favorite topics, which is the Marvel Legends line. So, if you are listening to us live here on interwebs, thanks for watching. If you're listening to us on the audio version, thank you for listening. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review of your favorite podcasting catcher, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, and Spotify. This is an episode that I have been wanting to do for a very long time, and I cannot wait to bring it to you. And when discussing this episode, this has been one of those where I've wanted to bring in some special guests, but I have a very special guest with me today. So, as we get started, hello everybody, I'm Zach Joyner, your friendly neighborhood webmaster and host. As I mentioned, there will be a lot of visual aids this episode, so I highly encourage you to if you're listening, to watch this video on YouTube. The video will also be posted down in the episode release on Spidey-Dude.com. So they finally have fixed some bugs on the video sharing aspect to WordPress for us. So hopefully you enjoy this episode. But I have a very special guest. He is one of our fine patrons, and I want to thank our patrons, Vinkman, Scott, Greg, and Jurgen. Speaking of Vinkman, hello to Vinkman.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me.
So this episode, we're going to be talking, like I said, Marvel Legends.
Also, I'm here. Hi.
And Neil, he's got to play the role of producer here for us. I do want to say hi to SoFlo. He did leave us a comment. Great to watch the show. Sorry I have been sick. Hope you and your family are doing well.
Aww.
I do want to mention here off the top, and Neil, if you'll pull up the tweet and things. So Marvel started kind of teasing something. I'll get Vinkman's thought on it. We'll talk about it at length next week on our normal program. This week is not our normal program. This was a special edition. Much in the same vein as No Way Home. We wanted to do a special edition episode. I don't know if we're going to do this monthly or bi-monthly, or we're kind of playing this by ear, but kind of doing these extra episodes just to kind of try to at least have 2 episodes a month on both this show and Make Mine Mayday. We'll talk about that more tomorrow when we do our live stream on Make Mine Mayday. We've got about half the year mapped out of that show. At least through April. We're still working on getting the dates lined up. There's some months that's going to be kind of tough. May and June are going to be kind of rough, to be honest with you. Got a lot of things going on. I think I got 3 weddings and a funeral. That's a joke.
Oy.
So, on Twitter, at Spider-Man, it says, "What did Peter do April 2022? It's got some artwork of Peter Parker cradling some Kirby-esque tech in the middle of a crater. April 2022, JR has returned officially, kind of unofficially, to the Marvel. He's already returned to Marvel, but this is his first time drawing Spider-Man. So I don't know if he's going to be part of the art team going forward.
His first time drawing Spider-Man. What?
Since his first time drawing Spider-Man since he came back.
Yeah, I was about to say.
This will be his 3rd run. I think this is the first time we've had an artist potentially have 4 technically 4, I guess, distinct runs.
Yeah, because there's Roger Stern, there's Peter Parker in the 90s, there's the JMS run, and then like the post One More Day stuff.
Yeah. So this will be his unprecedented 4th run on Spider-Man. Are you excited, Vinkman?
Uh, this is one of those. Well, for me it depends on what kind of JR are we getting? JR are we getting? Are we getting JMS era JR, or are we getting like DC era JR?
Right. New 52 JR.
Yeah.
Not even just New 52, like New 52 through Action Comics 1027 JR.
Yeah. That was that. And you know, I did not see much of his stuff in DC. I'm just not a DC guy, so I can't really comment all that much. I did enjoy some of the Batman work that he did. I feel
All Star with Scott Snyder was pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like his style suits Batman better, and Marvel in general better.
Yeah.
So I mean, just from this,
even his Daredevil stuff is good.
Here's a hard truth, and I feel like a lot of people are like going, "Oh, JR's back. He's the greatest." I must be like the single person alive who isn't excited for him to come back. Like I get that, like, you know, he was part of one of the most important runs in Spider-Man's history, but at the same time, I think his best art days are behind him, and I feel like a lot of people are just kind of afraid. I think a lot of people are afraid to say it.
I believe that it all comes down to two things. I think it comes down to who does the coloring and who does the inking.
And it's Marcio Menes for colors, apparently, which I'm looking forward to because he's done a great job on Beyond.
So yeah, the colors on Beyond have not been an issue at all for me. If it's Scott Hanna, I'm fine. If it's Klaus Janson, I'm scared. Because Klaus Janson, look, his stuff in the 90s was great. His stuff in the Man Without Fear, but recently his inks have been very, very loose, especially with JR's pencils. And it just, with Hanna, I know it's going to polish up the sharp pencils.
I think this is J.P. Meyer.
Oh, this page looks good to me. I don't see really any issue with the page that they've released. Like
this is surprisingly good, and I say that because, like, you know, if you look at like his Avengers run through like Superman Year One, it was not good. So I gotta say, I didn't think that Peter could rip ass this hard. That Taco Bell was not kind.
So for our audio listeners, the image is you have a big giant crater. Peter's in the middle of the crater, kind of like
huddled over, and then he just looks
very battle damaged. Very battle damaged, which leads to something we'll talk about here in a minute. In the Marvel Legends line.
Squid Games.
Oh, no. The memes, they write themselves. I'm surprised that Neil has not done that yet. Made some more memes. But Amazing Spider-Man April 2022, so this is kind of the first tease of
I just got home.
The next direction, I know. The next direction on Spider-Man, so we'll definitely be talking more about that next week. Well, I don't think. Do you think solicitations will go? Well, no, they'll.
Solicitations are probably next week.
You think they're next week or the following?
Yeah, because remember when Spencer's run was announced, it took like a week or two for solicits to drop.
Yeah, so this is obviously the next direction of Spider-Man. We'll definitely get more into that as we go, and go from there. So
if they relaunch, I'm gonna be so mad because we're literally like 5 issues away from 100.
Well, we're almost to 900. So who's going to be the writer? We don't know. That part we don't know yet. We just know that JR is going to be involved somehow.
It is speculated that it is Hickman, but there is no confirmation. So do not take the speculation as...
And I don't know how I feel.
The bots are back. Let's go, baby. The bots are back.
Oh, God. All right. So meanwhile, Neil's going to be zapping bots in the chat and gleefully enjoying it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about... if you'll make me Neil, will you make me a banner history of Marvel Legends right quick?
Okay.
So this is where story time with Zach comes in my notes. So You can't talk about Marvel Legends without talking about Marvel's history. And so in the early 1990s, Marvel made a licensing deal with Toy Biz. Toy Biz was owned by Ike Perlmutter and Avi Arad. This was done infamously in conjunction with the early 90s. So Venkman's got is that the Marvel Superheroes from the Mattel or the?
Yes, this is the Toy Biz one from 1990.
Okay. So Marvel Superheroes was the first series they produced. Then the 92 X-Men series came out, and the 94 Spider-Man series came out, and those exploded on the team.
Yes.
I've got Scarlet Spider here for those, and I'm going to try to say, so for those that are watching this, wondering why I'm saying what I have in my hand, it's because for our audio listeners, but I've got the overpowered Scarlet Spider. This was the first Scarlet Spider figure produced. Venkman's got the Hobgoblin from I had that figure. It is actually in a box at my dad's house.
Yeah, I never liked the way they did the foot stirrups on this one, because it's not like actual stirrups that you can put the feet in it. This one is dependent purely on like the pressure of the legs being able to fit in the thing. Because if you lose that pressure, he doesn't stand in the thing very well, which also used to drive me crazy. Because they made that. Remember, they made the big Super Goblin glider from the 90s show? Because I had that, but I couldn't get him to stand on the damn thing, and that drove me nuts.
So what they did on that Hobgoblin is they basically did these little triangles, and that basically the feet curled into, so to speak, and like you're talking about the pressure, and that's what kept it inside the stirrup. And then on top of that, you have the bolt action with the little string to keep it all together on the it launched out the head of the, and that right there, what Venkman had in his hand was the entire reasoning behind the 94 series having Hobgoblin in the first season instead of the Green Goblin.
Before this guy.
And then whenever they did Green Goblin, which I think was in the same wave, he had stirrups.
Yeah.
So
this is what the Hobgoblin should have had.
Right. Right. Where they had it open, it's very similar.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the Green Goblin one. But so with that, they're very much bringing the stylistic elements of that. They started it in 2020. The 2021. Did they have a retro wave in 2021? I don't remember. They announced one in 2021, but they didn't drop. Or was it 20?
I think the Spider-Man the Spider-Man retro wave came out, I think, the tail end of 2020, and I think a couple figures. And I think a couple of figures trickled in. Like I think there was the updated 2099, and I think the Sandman,
Webman. Yeah, they didn't have like a wave. Yeah. They had like the Webman 2099, the J. Jonah Jameson I think came out, and Black Cat.
Yes.
So it was not really a wave. It was just a bunch of fan channel exclusives. So we'll talk about all that here in a minute. But getting back to the history, so we have the 94 series, huge, and this goes all the way through the Marvel bankruptcy in 96. So in the Marvel bankruptcy, Toy Biz acquired Marvel, buys them out of bankruptcy, and slowly but surely they had been taking chunks, and I think they had like a 30 or 40% stake in Marvel before the bankruptcy. The bankruptcy happens, and they basically buy the rest of the assets out. This is where it leads to Toy Biz very much licensing everything. That's what they used to do, and so that's where we got a lot of the late 90s, early 2000s deals. I am going to do one of my goals this year is I'm going to do a huge standalone series on the channel where I do a deep dive into Spidey's film, Spidey on film history. So I'm gonna go through. I'll start with like the '67 series, talk about all that, and then I'll go through some of the animation stuff, and then I'll try to get into all the reboots. I'll talk about the Nicholas Hammond series as well.
Yes.
And then I've been doing a lot of research on the Sony element. I did a lot of that for those that don't remember. I think it was like episode 10, maybe the Save Spectacular Spider episode, where I did a fairly big, condensed deep dive into the whole Sony Marvel dynamic back in the day. So,
hey Zach, just to let you know, you are stuttering and cutting out a bit.
It's because I'm having to be on Wi-Fi because my internet's being screwy. So, okay, thank you for letting me know. So, with that, how do I sound to you, Vinkman?
You're fine.
Okay.
Well, it's as fine as it can be. So.
Okay. Radiac says, how's it going, guys? Looking forward to this. This may change my mind on Marvel Legends. I was put off by action figures in general recently. And now looking at the amazing Yamaguchi and Mezco, though pricey. Yeah, they are very pricey. Those are very, very pricey figs. So this leads into, and Neil, if you'll pull up Spider-Man Classics Series 1. So the biggest game changer...
Is that the link you put in the private chat?
No, you'll have to Google it for me. I'm sorry. Spider-Man... look up Toy Biz Spider-Man Classics. So Vinkman and I are both holding up our... And I'm going to pull this puppy off the wall. So...
The 2002 blister card?
Yes, the 2002 blister card, yep.
Got it.
So, Vinkman and I are both holding up the McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man 301 figure. And they came with this lovely base that's kind of like the spider signal with the little camera right there.
Yeah.
These all had bases to them. Now, not only did they have a base, they also had a comic book with them. So this was a reprint. Since they owned the comic company, they added a reprint. That top left one for me, Neil. Right there. So that's what you're seeing on the screen is actually what the blister card looked like. Now, this mold... This mold would be used quite a bit in the earliest days. The black suit, I think the waves consisted of the black suit, Rhino, and the battle damage, which is the fourth one over, Neil. Right there? Yep. So that was Series 2. Battle damage was Series 2.
Yeah.
I have that one still. I think it comes with the lizard that had issue 5 of Torment that came with it. Right below that, Neil, is the Scarlet Spider. So the Scarlet Spider...
I should have grabbed him.
I have him. I have him. He's in a box right now. I still have that blister, and unfortunately, the blister card got a little crushed. I still have him sealed. So that Scarlet Spider was a toy. This takes it back. This is exclusives are not something that are not a new phenomenon. The Scarlet Spider figure and the Spider-Man 2099 figure were both KB Toys exclusive. So that one, those were a little bit later, Neil. Those were the ones you clicked on right there. But so that one had Web 118 with it and had the same base as the ASM 300 Series 1. I think, and there was actually and he came with a cloth hoodie and no utility belt. Basically, he was a repaint, essentially, of the black suit Spider. And they actually he had done a prototype that looked really, really good. Whereas a molded, I've got this somewhere in my archives. I'll have to post it in the show notes. But they had a molded Scarlet Spider prototype that they had actually released, and everybody got really excited. And then this came out, and it looked nothing like the prototype. And people were pretty disappointed by it. In fact, it wouldn't be until the Marvel Legends version came out, the Hasbro Legends came out, and so Toy Biz would be producing Spider-Man figures all the way up through 2007, same year ASM Spider-Man 3 came out. That was amongst the first ones. Of course, the Spider-Man movie figures came out. But the biggest change on this, and I have not mentioned, was they went from a 5-inch scale to a 6-inch scale. So this significantly changed the ball game by going from the 5-inch scale and to the 6-inch scale. These are 1/12 scale figures. They added more articulation. They added more. Yeah. So these had 32 points of 30 points of articulation. They had, compared to probably the 10. I'm going to do a review on the Patreon page. If you'll blow Vinkman up for me, Neil. He's got 2 different figures. He's got 2 Captain Americas.
Yeah.
In one hand, he's got the Marvel Legends Series 1 Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'll get to the Marvel Legends aspect, and then he's got the Marvel superheroes. And you can see just the amount of... Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember when I got him at like a KB Toys, and I remember this was my first Captain America, and I remember not being like it was all I had, but I wish I had more. I had better, and I saw this guy. I remember like my first thought was, where was this when I was a kid? Because this was the figure I wish I had when I was younger.
And we'll talk a little bit more about him in just a minute. But yeah, no, the first Captain America figure I had was the from the Electro Shockwave. Whenever they had the season 5 Captain America, and it was I loved him. He was great, man. But I accidentally, stupidly, had set him on top of my lamp, but with my incandescent light bulb, and it like partially melted his back. But I too have
he's old man Steve now.
Yeah. I also have the Wave 1 Marvel Legends.
Yeah, the thing about that Electro Wave cap, and then this is like something I was talking with a friend of mine about, and my friend Jason, his dad always called that figure Captain Tick because he looked like Captain America. It looked like a cross between Captain America and the Tick.
Yeah. I just remember that shield being like 2 inches thick, and it was super tiny. And like he was almost, and Cap was like that. His scaling was all off because, like you say, he looked like the Tick, and he was noticeably taller than the rest of the figs, and it was very odd, very strange. It's because he was featured in the season, like in season 5, they had the 6 Forgotten Heroes, and that's where they brought in Captain America in the '90s show. Obviously something I'll be doing on the Patreon, since Vinkman was so kind enough to send me the MC2 figs. I'll be talking a lot about those. There you go. He's got Mayday right there. But so this led into the 2007. And in 2007, they brought forth Hasbro made a licensing deal with Marvel. This changed the game. So Hasbro suddenly had access to these molds. They created this Spider-Man 3 line. It was not very well received.
Well, there were
but I will say
there were the two lines. Yeah,
there was two lines.
There was there was the 5-inch line, and I think that's what made a lot of people angry because they went back to the 5-inch scale and they wanted it to be this size,
the 6-inch scale.
And then and what they did is that at the end, towards the end of the year, they did a Marvel Legends wave, which admittedly most of them were just re-releases of some of the Toy Biz movie figures. Like they re-released the superposable Spider-Man 2 figure, and they re-released Green Goblin, Doc Ock.
So
stuff.
First Spider-Man 1 came out, the first Sam Raimi film. Those figures sold like gangbusters. Now, if you try selling those right now, they're going for $100, $200 right now on eBay. Everybody's freaking out because of No Way Home.
Well, they've been selling like that even before the movie came out.
Yeah, I've been
trying to reacquire the Green Goblin. He's like 200.
Yeah, I mean that's just crazy. Now, I do remember it was the second series of the Marvel Legends Spider-Man Classics. They had a Daredevil in Series 2. That was the first Daredevil they produced in a 6-inch line. And and ever since then, Daredevil's always been in a Spider-Man wave. No matter what, Daredevil's always in a Spider-Man wave. They don't really. I think the only time he's not been in a Spider-Man wave was when they did that 4-pack for the Defenders, and the comic book variant, and then the yellow suit.
Netflix.
Yeah, the Netflix, and then the yellow suit variant, which was Walgreens exclusive, that you can still find in some Walgreens, even though it's like been 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Walgreens in a bit. But those sold like gangbusters. Those were, and at the time, Sony was getting half the merchandising money, including that licensing agreement with Hasbro. They had some great figures. They had a Battle Damage Peter Parker that was from the final climactic scene. They had some great Green Goblins. They had the J. Jonah Jameson with the desk. He was great. All of this stuff was phenomenal stuff. And then of course we get to the 2007. They did a bunch of re-releases. I've got my super. This is from Spider-Man 2. You mentioned it. This is the superposable one. Yeah. This is the Spider-Man 2 one, not the re-release.
Yeah.
But the original. And again,
mine's the original too.
Yeah, they did articulated fingers, which kind of failed a little bit because they look weird if you're not you can't quite put them in a punch. You can kind of, if you got to kind of twist them. Some of the, like my joint, my ab crunch is super loose on this one. So like I have to keep him in a crouching position.
He's very wibbly
very
wobbly.
Loose. Now I'll say this: a lot of the Toy Biz ones, if I didn't put them on the base, they ended up being very, very loose on the joints. It's just kind of a nature of the beast with.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's the one thing about the Toy Biz figures.
Yeah. I will say though, the best one, I still think it's the one that holds up the most, other than the two we've mentioned, is the Man Spider. This thing has held up so well over the years. He comes with this swampy base. This base is huge, and he absolutely is one of my all-time favorite figs. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're seeing me hold him up, but just look up Man Spider Toy Biz, and that thing is massive. Half man, half spider. Kind of like it's not really based on any of the comics, really. It's just based on, some of it's based on the 90s show, kind of the 90s show and the comic kind of coming together on that one.
Yeah, well, there was a Man Spider, I think, in Marvel Fanfare. I think there was like a Savage Land story.
Yeah.
So I think this is sort of a reference to that.
Even though the comic itself is not. And they had a Man Spider in the. They basically the thing about the '90s Spider-Man cartoon line, they had pretty much every single variation of Spider-Man stuff that didn't appear in the show. Everybody had a figure. I mean,
Can I just say how old some of these are? Like, these images are made for ants. Look at this. What is this? An image for ants?
Yeah, I'll be taking.
It's like going on to 4chan. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a. So Neil is trying to pull up some high-res images, and these, oh my god, these images are so tiny and so small. But yeah, no, the way that these went are, everybody got a figure in that wave. In the '90s show had their Spider-Man, Man Spider, and it looked good. I had that one as well.
This is even the same one. I don't even know why I pulled it up.
God. Well, and there was this website called Spider-Man Toy Collector, and he doesn't have the site anymore, but he does have a Facebook group. I don't know what happened to the website, but yeah, a lot of people have been posting. Now, I will say the best like large scale figure they ever produced, that Toy Biz ever produced, was the Spider-Man 2 like 12-inch figure.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean like the big boy that was like super, like, you mean the big one that like even like each individual finger was articulated? Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yes. I had that one until his leg broke.
Oh.
And it broke at like the pelvis, and I just could never get him to go that. Radiac says, I'm sure that some of the figures you guys would talk about are sought after, but are these like Man Spider impossible expensive to get? I doubt it would be done again. If they do a Man Spider like this one, I highly anticipate it will be a Build-A-Figure. That's the only way it would work. The Build-A-Figure, and that's where we're getting into the Marvel Legends aspect of it. Yeah. So as Vinkman alluded to, it is the 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends this year, and to celebrate, Hasbro's doing a bit of a re-release based on some of these older molds, but modernized. Yep. It's kind of like I have the 80th anniversary Captain America and the
I was just
Series
about
1.
to bring him up.
Which is based on Alex Ross Designs. He's a phenomenal figure. If you did not pick up the 80th, this Marvel 80th cap, it's just a great figure. But it's basically these two figures having a baby, and that's what this re-release is going to be about. They're releasing Iron Man, Hulk, and Captain America, and I'm assuming a Toad. That's the only one they've not revealed yet.
Yes, we need a Toad.
Radiac, I honestly think that Man Spider would be something that needs to be a Build-A-Figure. If you're going to do the same scale, you'll never see a base like that again. I just don't see it, because it would be too unless it would be a deluxe figure. Now I haven't even looked on eBay how much that Toy Biz Man Spider is going for, but he would be very hard to get. I'm lucky that I got him, honestly.
Yeah.
I got him whenever, but I had a very big gap in my toy collecting, so I was pretty into these Spider-Man Classics line, and I kind of jumped hopscotch around that yellow Daredevil from Series 2. I remember he was going for like $300 because he was like 1 in 50 Daredevils in like the case. Oh, there is Greg.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
Oh man, I thought I sent it to you, dude. My bad, dude.
It was in the
Welcome,
group chat,
Greg.
wasn't it?
I have it in the group chat, but Greg's been busy. So hello to Greg. For those that are watching us or listening to us on the audio version, we welcome Greg. He too is an expert in Marvel Legends.
Oh yes.
His impressive display. He's not in the basement right now, but
No, unfortunately, the basement is being used by a family member who has Omicron, and we're kind of separated right now.
Oh, yeah.
Eeh.
I'm sorry, Omicron sounds like a Transformer villain. Like, and considering the amount of Transformers you have down there,
when I see, the thing is, when I hear that, I think of the Star Trek episode. Oh God, now I'm blanking on the name, but it was like there was a planet Omicron Ceti 3. It's the.
It was
Go ahead.
it was
It's the-
Kai Chetty. It was Kai Chetty 5. That's where Khan was abandoned. No, wait, are we talking about? Hang on, I'm going to Memory Alpha. Hang on.
all right. Anyway,
God, it's driving me crazy that I can't think of the name right now.
Omicron Theta.
Omicron Theta. Yeah, there you go.
No, I was thinking of Omicron Ceti 3. It's
No.
oh God. Oh, God,
No,
it's-
Omicron Theta
No,
is where Data was made. I'm leaving.
Okay.
I'm not supposed to be here.
All right.
He's playing producer, but he keeps jumping in. It's like a real radio show right now. The producer keeps
Driving me crazy that I
piping in.
can't think of that episode.
But yeah, no.
Thank
So
you,
right now, Greg, we're talking a bit about the history of Marvel Legends, and so we get to 2007. Hasbro gets the acquires a license. I remember they did a Spider-Man. They did a Spider-Man wave. They had the Civil War figure, very flimsy. They did 29.9. They were very glossy, and after that movie wave, it was like Spider-Man Classics again, and it just didn't do well. And it really wasn't until they announced they pulled all the Marvel Legends stuff off the shelf.
Yeah.
Announced the return of Marvel Legends in 2011. And then really it became from 2014 to now is really the current era of Marvel Legends. And it started with I just had him. He's right here somewhere. There it is. The ASM2 wave. We're talking about modern Marvel Legends. It was Amazing Spider-Man 2. They had
That's
two
the
movie
Green Goblin
figs.
Build-A-Figure wave, right?
It was the Hulk Goblin
Yes.
Build-A-Figure wave.
Yeah.
So
JR's favorite.
the one I trolled JR with for a long time. So okay, whenever
Let me
they
say
did,
this, I like the Hulk Goblin as much as JR does.
yeah. So whenever they did Marvel Legends, they did the Spider-Man Classics line, hugely successful. So they so Toy Biz expands it to Marvel Legends. And then eventually, Galactus was the first Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure. And then Sentinel came later on. So a lot of these Build-A-Figures that they've done, they've now re-releasing as HasLabs. And getting them up to the scale, because they weren't quite to scale, because you were trying to stuff these Build-A-Figures into these blister card packs.
But at the time, they were very impressive.
They were very impressive for the time,
Yeah.
but now, I mean, they just pale in comparison to what we're getting now. Unfortunately, if you did not pick up those HasLabs, you are paying through the nose for them. But, you
I'll
know,
be selling my Toy Biz Galactus as soon as I receive my HasLab.
yeah. So it's one of those things where, you know, if you snooze, you lose. I snoozed, I lost. So I will, whenever I do eventually buy those, it will be paying through the nose. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do for HasLab this year. I think a lot of people were upset last year at the amount of HasLabs that were done across the lines. So
And
that
I
kind of
bought
gets us into the now that we've done the history of Marvel Legends, let's get into the what we like and what we dislike. First off, what was your first legend? Venkman, what was your first Marvel Legend?
Oh, you mean?
Was it the Spider-Man Classics line?
Yeah, it was the. Where did I put him? It was the first. Yeah, it was the McFarlane.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah,
Greg, was that same?
And that was
with you?
one-
Did you get those?
What?
Did you get those Spider-Man Classics line, like the McFarlane Spider-Man, like this
Not
one?
Not at the time. And as I recall, the reason was I had a bunch of the 5-inch stuff for years. I don't have them anymore. And
Yeah,
then I saw
that
the
was
6-inch stuff, and I was thinking, number one, I don't know if I want to rebuy this stuff again. Number two, I didn't think it would last. I thought they were just a bit of a novelty, because 5-inch stuff had been going on for so long. Again, I was stupid. And number three, I was getting ready for college at the time, and I had money going elsewhere, so I wasn't planning on collecting figures anymore. And then until I got neck deep in the Toy Biz Lord of the Rings figures, which were really beautiful at the time, and I bought a Marvel Legends at the time. The only one I owned for years was that first Magneto figure, which was not really that great a figure. It was a repaint and retool of Iron Man, but I loved that character. Then I bought Green Goblin, I bought a Spider-Man, and then I went off to film school, and I wasn't buying anything until I moved back to New York, and suddenly I had space to build a collection.
Yeah.
Greg's collection is pretty sizable. If you've not,
Oh yes, it is.
If you're an audio listener and you've never seen some of the stuff in the background of when we have Greg on, you will be highly impressed with the amount of things that are behind him. Right now, if you're seeing Greg, it's a bunch of gargoyle stuff, which he is the host of Voices from the Area Gargoyles podcast here on the
Yes, we're recording another episode tomorrow after a holiday hiatus, and we're posting a new episode on Friday, so we're looking forward to that. Oh, you know what? You guys can be the first to hear if anyone's live. Normally I wouldn't announce this until it's done, but I really think this is happening. For recording tomorrow, we're going to have a man named Jeff Bennett on.
Now, who is Jeff Bennett?
Voice actor.
Venkman knows.
Yeah,
he's only one of the most
I was thinking of Joe Bennett, but I was wrong.
No, he's one of the most prolific voice actors of the last 30 years. He's one of those man of 1,000 voices. He was on Spectacular. He was Shocker. He was St. John Devereaux.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. Plot device Butler from Spider-Man 3.
That's right. That's right.
He plays 17 characters on Gargoyles, including Brooklyn, the red gargoyle with the wings, and Xanatos' assistant, Owen Burnett.
Nice. And we now have Paul joining us.
Hey!
Hi, what's up, dude? What's up, Mr. Venkman? How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good.
Did you have a good Christmas, my friend?
Oh, yeah. Nice and quiet.
You also got some Fantastic Four toys, I see, too.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
If you have not joined our Discord, you need to go on to spideydude.com and join our Discord.
Oh, the burn costumes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude, burn for life.
Not to jump ahead, but I am so much happier with this thing head than this one.
Oh, yeah. It's a night and day. There's a part of me that still really likes the Toy Biz thing, especially the head.
Yeah.
Like, I still feel like that's like the best head sculpt, but this is a nice, sort of like compromise between this and the other one.
Yeah.
God.
I really need to get those, man. Here's the thing with me and Marvel Legends figures. I love Marvel Legends, but for whatever reason, I just, people who know me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Huge. I'm more of a collector for toys and things like that, memorabilia. I'm like all in for Star Wars Black Series. I mean, I don't have all of them, but I have a crap load of them now. And I mean, I have bought so many. I mean, I still do, even though it's weird because Star Wars this last year, I mean, I love it forever. It took a backseat. Just wasn't a lot going on. I had a bad batch, whatever. But I mean, I was still buying figures, but I barely buy my Marvel Legends. I'm very much choosy with my Marvel Legends. So, which I brought some here to talk about. So, but the one thing I am not choosy about, and I'm definitely collecting more of. I mean, Marvel Legends in general, I'm definitely up to a little bit, but it's Spider-Man. Over the last, I'd say 5 years. I mean, definitely invest more in Spider-Man than any. Obviously, I'm on a Spider-Man podcast here.
Right.
I mean, come on, it's me. But no, I've definitely bought more, and I bought my bag of a bunch of Spider-Man toys. But yes, I didn't get that one. Is that hold on. Is that the retro wave?
That is okay. So that right there, that's the Pizza Slice Spidey, and when I talk about 2014, so we're getting into the history, and we're talking about the Marvel, current era of Marvel Legends starts really at 2014, and it was the ASM2 wave was the first one that I feel like kind of started. But the wave following that was the Pizza Slice Spidey. This mold has been the Spider-Man mold until the retro card. The retro card was the first change in the mold. Otherwise, every Spider-Man variation, with a few exceptions, like the 2099, they had basically.
And the Captain
You
Universe.
had the Hyperion. Yeah, the Captain Universe one was the first one really to do like a bigger, bulkier chest. Here's Captain Universe.
One of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, it's a super sweet fig.
Can I really quickly run 2014? I actually came in at the most perfect time because I have to say something about this. Okay, I don't mean to hijack it, but this is a good story. You'll like this. I should have brought a picture because it's even better with a picture. So this figure also has a history with this too. It's on the same because 2014, right? It's a big year for me. I'll tell you why. And it all has tied with the Marvel Legends figure. So the mold you guys are talking about, was it part of the Superior Spider-Man? Was he part of that same kind of the last wave before the retro card? I believe he was, wasn't he? Part of that same No,
he was. Sorry. He was. Okay, so they. Okay,
I think Superior was part of the ASM2 wave, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
2014.
He was the variant of the ASM2. So they basically released the same wave twice, except there was 3 figures that they swapped out.
Right.
They added with Carnage. They had the first Carnage figure. They swapped it out with Toxin. Mayday or not Mayday. It was Mayday and Aranya got swapped. And then no, Mayday didn't get swapped with Aranya. It was but Aranya got added in first, and then because Mayday was part of the Marvel Now wave, the same wave was Pizza Slice.
One of ours was so upset.
And then but yeah, so they had Superior. They added Superior Spider-Man as like the second half.
So, but there was a basic Spider-Man, just a basic bare bones Spider-Man in that wave, correct?
It was the basic bare bones was not until after the Superior Spider-Man one was first, and then they had the Pizza Slice Spidey after that.
Yep. Right, no, but I'm talking about in that part of that year, 2014, that wave, wasn't there just a basic Spider-Man, not even Pizza Slice? It was just a basic Spider-Man.
Not
mold.
yet. They had not done a comic book.
It was just the movie figure.
It was just the movie figure because it was all for the movie hype.
This is why I'm confused, because maybe just throw it back, and I can grab the figure if you want. I might have to go grab it, okay? Because I still have it. So here's the history of it real quick. I got married in 2014, and my cake wedding top, I said it's gonna be Spider-Man. It's gotta be Spider-Man, and I bought a Legends figure, and I remember I bought it around the same time as I bought and it was in store. It wasn't like in like a random internet. I got it at like a Target with my Superior Spider-Man. I got bought both. My wife was mad at me at the time. I'll grab the figure really quick. Yeah. But yeah, that Marvel Legends figure, which I'll grab, and I'll even find the picture too. I'll send it to you, Zach, and see if you can post it. But it is my wedding cake top with Morgan, my wife, called it a exasperated bride thing she got on the internet, which doesn't look very good. But it's me as Spider-Man. I'm like, I gotta be Spider-Man. It has to be me. So I'll get a picture, but I'll grab the figure too. So I'll be right back. One second.
Yeah. So the figure was part of the Hulk Goblin wave. I just pulled that up on, and I got the link in there, Neil.
That was the Andrew Garfield figure.
The Andrew Garfield figure was the other one it was the same. It was the same wave. They swapped it out with the Andrew Garfield. It was very strange because they basically released the same wave twice, except it was a little slightly different. A lot of people. Yeah, there's Shartimus Prime. Hi, Shartimus Prime, if you're watching. And it was weird because that Superior Spider-Man fig was actually the second iteration of the Superior. They never released the first one. If you recall, there was 2 costumes, and this was the costume after issue 8 that Ramos designed, loosely based on kind of like it was a mixture between
it was after Superior number 13. It debuted number 14.
Okay, 14. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Thank you. So
they do that figure. They should have given him the metal legs and everything. And
oh yeah, they didn't. A lot of people actually 3D printed those legs. after the fact.
Yeah, like this one's I think an add-on.
Yeah, that's a different fig. That's like from a different. I think that's from that.
That looks like looks like that terrible kid.
That's
shit.
actually what you pulled up, Air Deal, is actually from the 2019 cartoon wave that Hasbro released.
Let's see. No, that's not it either. Hang on.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, they've never released the first generation of Superior Spider-Man.
I think that's because it's just aesthetically way too similar to the original.
Yeah.
To the original, that like any small distinctions, like the goggles and the feet with the weird Japanese shoe thing, would be too small to distinguish.
Now, they did use the head mold one other time on the Superior Spider-Man fig, and it was on the Volume 4 2-pack with Mary Jane, based on the Alex Ross design, the spider armor. Even though it had the goggles, it was very, very strange. I think I've got it. Oh, I've got it right here. That they brought back the goggles and then kind of try to give it a little bit of a distinction between it. It does not fit. But yeah, Bigman's got the Mary Jane. I've got the other one. And actually, the only reason I have this is because this was a Toys R Us exclusive, and it's because of Greg that I actually got this. That was a gift, Christmas gift a few years ago. Thank you, Greg. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, the Superior Venom is probably one of the most expensive figures. So let's go through. Let's just talk about some.
I have that in the drawer somewhere.
Let's talk about some figures that we like. Just 5 figures Spider-Man related. What figures do we like while we're waiting on Paul to get back? Let's talk about what we like, what we don't like. What 5 figures that we like.
Well, since I already have her out, I definitely love having this Mary Jane. This is definitely one of the characters, like supporting characters that absolutely needed to be made into a figure. Like even more so than doing a Peter Parker, we needed to have a very nice Mary Jane, and especially considering like the Toy Biz one, by comparison, this is just a repainted Invisible Woman.
It is. Toy Biz was very notorious for their repaints. Everybody sits there and talks.
Especially towards the end.
Yeah, towards the end especially. But everybody talks really a lot of mad smack on like Hasbro doing a lot of repaints. And I understand where people can be frustrated and they want new molds and they want these new things. But these new molds are expensive. And if they can get mileage out of a mold, I mean, the Bucky Cap mold has been the baseline mold since 2014. Now, they have just this year have finally retired it. The new Vulcan figure that's coming out is going to be the new baseline standard male mold. I think they're pinless too, right? Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah.
So they're going slowly to pinless, and what that means is, and I've got it right here on this fig, if you look at the arms and the elbows, you'll see like inside the bicep, the pin is red, where the blue would be. In the pinless ones, you don't see these pins that hold these elbow joints together, and so it's a little bit more of a seamless type of silhouette. I'm hoping that if they do a re-release of the new body mold with like a regular re-release of Spider-Man, because that's kind of been sort of rumored, because that has been such a popular figure. That thing is going for like $100 on eBay right now.
Oh yeah,
that retro card. There's been days that I've thought, I might as well just sell it. Yeah. So Vinkman's got it in his hand. That new body mold right there is the new body mold for it replaced the Pizza Slice Spidey.
Nice.
And he's got the Ditko head on it.
Yeah, because I personally didn't like the eyes on the regular one. Like I felt that they didn't quite capture Ramita Senior like it should have. And to be honest, I think I've actually said that this figure should have come with 2 heads. It should have come with the animated series eyes, and it should have come with like a 90s Bagley eyes.
Yeah. I would argue that the Pizza Slice is really very much Cam and Coley.
Yeah. Agreed.
But it works. And then they did actually do Bagley's head, but it wasn't on regular Spider-Man. It was on the first generation Miles and the first generation Ultimate. Now I've got the unmasked Peter on the Ultimate fig, and this is the teen kids, mold. Slightly different. The different molds. So, like 5 figures that we like. Paul, what are 5 figures off the top of your head that you're like, these are my favorites that I just...
Well, really quickly,
I will also say Mary Jane.
this was an ASM2 Spider-Man. I didn't even know it until now. I didn't even remember it because of the back. So you're right on the money. I was like, I thought I could have sworn this was it. Nope, you're right. This was I put a picture if you want to post it at some point in the chat not just chat, but in the.
I'll pull it up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, hi, Neil.
Neil's playing producer tonight.
I forgot. Yeah, I thought wasn't Neil supposed to be here? Oh, he's behind the scenes. Thank you, Neil. So this is the figure. I pulled it off where my wife's exasperated bride is on our kitchen windowsill. But yeah, it's really dusty. Holy crap. But yeah, it is ASM2 Spider-Man. So
yeah, that was the like I say, that was released twice. They had the Superior figure that was in there, and that was kind of the first gen of the first iteration of the pizza, what eventually would be the pizza slice Spidey mold, but they add the slightly unmasked head, the slice of pizza. I do have not only the one that I bought originally off the shelf, but nice.
That was it. I wish I could find an actual picture of the cake, but yeah, that's it. That's I just opened it and I put it right next to her, and I'm like, it has to be a Spider-Man. That was the only one I could find. Kind of last minute, and it looked like I could pose it around, and I should have planned it a little bit better, but yeah, that's it. That's the old.
You want to talk about reuse though? What's really hilarious is that they did eventually reuse this mold on the 6-arm Spidey. It is the exact same. It is the exact same mold, except there is no torso crunch. It's wildly bizarre, but but this one also, they had at least tried to put a wash on it to where you could kind of see the web lines. It's been one of the biggest banes of everybody's existence is if they're not painted, they're sculpted, and anytime they're sculpted, there is you have to go in with like an X-Acto knife and some paint to pop out those lines. So figures that I like, I
thought I was going. I had my figures already.
Oh, you got your figures already, dude?
Yeah, pretty much.
Go.
All right. So first of all, this was again. You're all gonna hate this because it's Dan Slott, but Spider-Punk is one of my favorites. We
like Spider-Punk. What are you talking about?
You can't like Spider-Punk and like Dan Slott and hate Dan Slott at the same time. It's against the rules.
I'm doing it now.
Against your rules.
Fair enough. All right. I kind of like this Neil popping in and out. It kind of works. Anyway,
Neil 3 times fast and he appears.
Yeah. So this is I like the character a lot. I thought it was really ridiculous that they created a Spider-Punk character. And as a punk rocker at heart, and as my attitude, I always think is punk rock. I don't always look punk rock, but I always try to emulate something like that. Regardless, man, these are really dusty. This is I just love the figure. I thought it was a really cool, really creative figure. I love just any kind of variation of Spider-Man, and plus, these shoes are just ridiculous. I love these shoes; they're so perfect.
That figure is from the Lizard Wave. It had that one and Spider-Man Noir to it,
and I have Spider-Man Noir as well.
Yeah.
Which I need to post these pictures, these figures somewhere. I'm running out of space. As I showed him before, Captain Universe. Here.
Nice.
He is just. This is what again, and it's no secret that these figures are some of my favorite characters as a comic. When I was a kid, characters when I was a comic as a kid, whatever, and these figures represent what I always wanted as a kid. I think that's one reason why we think we love this line so much, or these figures so much, is because they represent things we always wanted as a kid that we never could have. Spider-Punk obviously not really, but this one in particular, I also got on our honeymoon the day after we got married. we were driving. I stopped at a Target. And I went, "Oh, dude! I was looking for this one. Captain Universe, Spider-Man. Had to get it, so bought it on our honeymoon." My wife's like, "Only you would buy Spider-Man figures on your honeymoon." I'm like,
No, hey,
know?
you're not the only one. I bought the ASM2 Marvel Select figure on my honeymoon. Even though it's not 6-inch scale, it was a 7-inch scale
Hey.
and I actually gave it to my nephew, and he still sleeps with it every night.
"Oh, cute." Hold on, I'm trying to find if there's anything. I'm having trouble finding a fifth one, but it's 4. It works. Okay, so third one. This one I had to get. I had to get this one. Spider-Ham.
A lot of people hate on that thing, but I'm like, dude, it's Spider-Pig or Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham, yeah. How could you hate on this thing? This thing is amazing.
Well, it's okay. I think it's because it's such a small figure.
And the ears are gonna fall off any second. That also is weird. I'm like, I can see him now. I'm like, I have to be very careful with this thing. It's ridiculous. I grew up loving Spider-Ham, even though I tried to reread the comics recently, and they're almost unreadable for me. I think they're terrible. I mean, no offense, they're unbearable to read. I love the characters, how they looked and everything, but I'm like, how did someone approve this? This is terrible. Like, even for kids.
It's very. It's
so
very a product
bad.
of its time.
It's
so
very a product
bad.
of its time.
Because I think when they did like the End of the Spider-Verse and they added Spider-Ham like with Spider-Gwen, I think that would have probably went over better than it being a $20 figure and it being that small. Even though that it got packed with the torso to the Monster Venom, like I think that was probably the thing that pissed everybody off, was the fact that it was $20. It's a very small figure. And I think if you had added it as an accessory, it would have been a completely different story.
I agree. Listen, here's the thing. I don't blame people. I respect it, and I totally agree with it. I don't give a crap because I needed Spider-Ham. It's going to happen. I love this character.
I totally bought him on Facebook for $10. Like I didn't spend full price.
I did because I didn't want to lose him. I didn't want to lose him. So. And again, these are just preliminary off the top of my head. Like, these figures I love. And they may not top 5 favorite. I have to, I really think deep on that one. But
this won't be the only Marvel Legends episode we do, I guarantee.
This is a dream come true. This is one I always wanted. I never thought I'd ever get a Frogman figure. We finally did, and I had to buy him. I pre-ordered him immediately.
I like that figure.
He is beautiful. Honestly, this is a dream come true. When I was a kid, I, in no irony, loved Frogman. I don't know what it was. I liked the costume. There was something about him that looked interesting to me. I still think there's something interesting about this character. If Lord willing, would ever get a reason to write anything related to Marvel, I would love to write like a 5-8 page fun story of Frogman. He's just there's something about this.
Frogman is the best.
Frogman, and legitimately,
He is a good boy.
now, yes, but. And I don't want to act like I don't. And again, people going back to our Iron Man comment, Neil Cantwell, I thought handled Frogman pretty well. He kept to his characterization.
Nope, I'm pivoting. We're pivoting back on top.
Hold on, Frogman. I just thought that he did a decent job of taking Frogman a little seriously. He kicks Korvac in the face. Gets a good hit on Korvac, and it's a legitimate It's not played for laughs. And I'm like, yes, because there is, even though I don't think it's been done very often, there is a sense of seriousness, I think, not seriousness, but there is a great story waiting to be told with this character that I think is really worth telling. That's just me. I have ideas for the character, which I'll never obviously do because I'm never going to work for Marvel. But the thing is, I think there's really cool stuff that you could do with this, and he's an untapped character. He's a lot of fun. And this figure embodies everything about the character I love. So this is a beautiful, beautiful figure, and I'm so glad we have it.
So, Greg, off the top of your head, whatever 5 figures that you really, really like that are Spider-Man related.
I'll second Mary Jane. What I did was I took the 2-pack's body and I put the Mary Jane head that came with the Gwen figure on it. So I've got a full Romita Mary Jane.
I've got her right here.
Excellent. That's what I did.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and
yeah. No, when they added that to the Gwen figure, and I love the Gwen figure, and Mary Jane's not quite my top 5, but damn close. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I like the retro wave Green Goblin. After I had Anthony's Customs trick it out for me, I'm going to post a link in the chat so Neil can post it up. Anthony's Customs fixed those peoples on it for me. He added a pointer finger with the energy blast, and then I ended up putting it on the Toy Biz glider, and now it's my favorite Green Goblin figure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. We're gonna do some posting of collections. I think on our front page of Spideydude. So and some of these pictures will also be in our show notes. Go ahead, Vingman. Sorry.
I was going to say this. I had mine slightly repainted as well, because one of the things that drove me crazy is when you look at when they sculpted her, it looked like they clearly had sculpted her to look like she was wearing a crop top, but then they didn't paint it, and it always bugged me because it's like and I just gave it to like my friend Jason. Can you just do this for me? And he actually went above and beyond, because he actually did repaint a few other things. He also added freckles to the face, and
very
I think
J.
he
Scott
sort
Campbell
of touched up the hair. Yeah. I would say I think the head that they were trying to go for a J. Scott Campbell hook, but honestly, I think that the head looks more like Emma Stone to me. I don't know if that's just me or.
Yeah, and they ended up using that head, I think, also on Black Widow too. They've reused that head several times.
They did.
Yeah, and I've seen a friend of mine has a custom Mara Jade figure. They used that someone had used this head for that.
Right.
But
and I posted the photo of my tricked out Green Goblin in the chat if someone can bring that up.
Yeah, Neil can jump that on there. So Neil's got the multi-screen big boy setup. All right, what else you got there, Greg? In terms of
I've already showed it off, but like that's one. Another one, obviously. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
You're too late, Spider-Man! Weed has been legalized!
What?
You never seen that meme?
No, okay. No, don't post the meme. All right.
No, I'm doing it. We're doing it now. We're doing it live.
All right. So, Vinkman, what do you... Oh, God. Okay.
I already showed her off, but... Of course, you gotta love Mayday.
Oh, do you want to do the spec one? Here we go.
Yes.
Nobody can hear it.
Oh.
You'll have to send it to me so I can play it. Okay. All right. And you dropped the F-bomb, man. Come on. We went all episode with no F-bomb. God.
I'm sorry.
Bless America. All right.
You can edit it out.
So we got Mayday. We got Mary Jane. What else you got there, Vinkman?
Me?
I gotta say, see if I can grab him really fast.
And then I'll finish. I'll finish with Greg.
This is a recent. Yep, this is a recent edition. The yes, the.
I got that from Greg too. It's hanging up on the wall. I didn't open them.
Yeah, this is one of those. Because like Toy Biz made a bunch of Venoms in the '90s, but they never quite did an animation accurate one.
Is that hard to get?
Yes, because it was a Hasbro Pulse.
It's a PulseCon exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah, it was It was PulseCon 2021 exclusive. Now it's based off of the. This is from I think the Rhino Wave, either that or the Absorbing Man Wave figure. The body mold is a little different, but the head sculpt.
I think this figure. Well, I think this one was based off of an Omega Red figure because the you can see where the holes where they had originally had the I think shoulder pads.
Yes, that was a big stink over that as well. But
that's a beautiful looking figure. Holy crap! I need that one.
And it was actually based on a custom that was from this figure. Somebody actually took this figure. This is I've got the McFarlane head on it because that's been my preference is the McFarlane head, but they have the tongue one, and I can't pull it out because I got a bunch of other crap in front of it. But the head sculpt They had a new head sculpt. They did the Omega Red. Everybody was very excited. Had the classic blue and red paint scheme. Really great for our audio listeners. Again, this is, like I said earlier, this is going to be the most visually aided episode probably of the show, because we're talking about figures.
Is this the one that had the holes in the mold?
Yes, because
Yes,
they basically used the Omega Red body sculpt, because that's kind of their new bigger boy sculpt.
Yeah.
And now I'm hoping that and I don't know where it's at. I think it's in this box down here, and I'm not going to try to dig it while I'm live on air. But the movie, a lot of people love that Venom movie figure, and it's bigger. It's like it's the new body style of like the retro card, but like big and Venom. I think a lot of people are hoping for that one too. So
I don't. Yeah, as much as I'm a fan of the Venom movies, but I'm just not a fan of that. Like the movies themselves, I like them, but I missed the White Spider or the Dragon, as I guess it's now been a part of. But yeah, I don't like the figure. I don't even have any interest in that Venom movie figure at all.
This is what he looks like. So the posability of him, and what a lot of people have done is they've actually just painted this like a matte black, and they have put that White Spider on. And I think that's going to probably be one that everybody's going to be seeking after once they do, and maybe a new head sculpt with it. And this is an amazing figure. I got it just because, one, it was not a Build-A-Figure. So they've been doing this where they'll have like a figure that doesn't have any Build-A-Figure parts, and they'll do like 2 on that one if they have like a 7-figure wave, and they'll like 2-pack it, add that as a 2-pack. So I try to grab as many of the movie figs as possible, but those are probably my least favorite ones, to be completely honest. They're the only I stopped collecting MCU figures because I just could not keep up. The amount of movies,
and they're not that interesting. Here's my thing with and this is kind of goes with the MCU in general. I'm a Marvel zombie to the core. Okay, the problem is, and I've said this before, that they do a great job of taking the costumes and converting them, adapting them into the big screen, and they do a great job of that. The byproduct problem with that is when you do that and you sell toys, the comic versions will always look way better because they're what they're meant to. They look way better because you don't have to worry about, will they look good in lighting? Will this look good there? I mean, every once in a while there's some great things. Like I love the Iron Hydra Stomper. I need that figure, and that's a solid figure. But like the thing is, that doesn't interest me as like a regular Captain America version or whatever. Like give me that version.
Yeah, and I think Greg's got a point he's probably the same point I'm going to make. Go ahead, Greg.
What?
One of the points that I'll make on the MCU figures is if it's released like a year after, they tend to be more screen accurate, whereas the ones that are released like with the movie are usually based on concept art, and so they're kind of limited on what they can do, because they inevitably make changes. A great example is in the No Way Home figure. There is a bunch of red extra on the arms, red paint, and that's not on the final fig, or that's not actually in the movie. It's not screen accurate. So, again, they also acted like it was also a big thing in the movie. But Greg, what is your top 5? You never finished. You had 3 more.
First, I said Mary Jane. Then I said my tricked out Green Goblin. The retro J. Jonah Jameson figure. It just looks great. Yes. It comes with a rolled up newspaper. He comes with an unfolded newspaper which is actually printed with Bugle headlines. I love that figure. I remember I kept linking you to places where it was still available, and you never pulled the trigger.
I know. The finances have been. Last year was probably I bought the least amount of figures last year that I have in the last probably since 2014, almost 10 years now. I feel like
Jonah is someone that every Marvel Legends Spider-Man collector needs to have.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the exclusives, what we don't like, what we like about that too as well. But what else you got, Greg?
Okay, that's 3. I do like the retro card Spider-Man. I mean, I've got 2 of them. One of
Yeah,
them I admit that I won
I'm
in the
gonna agree with
contest.
that.
The Artemis Prime contest, actually. So I've got 2. I've got the Romita head fighting my tricked out Green Goblin, and the Ditko head fighting the classic Sinister Six on my shelf.
Yeah, I'm glad that they finally finished the Sinister Six.
Yes.
I'm not on. I haven't had the chance to see the new Sandman, the smaller Sandman. I have the Build-A-Figure Sandman, and I really like that one. But the only problem with that Build-A-Figure Sandman is that his arms are so heavy because they're so big that he's very unbalanced. So it's a catch-22 for me.
And I also like, this will be a controversial choice, but I like the first Hasbro Hobgoblin figure, the Roderick Kingsley one. Of course, I took that and I put it on the Toy Biz one's glider, and I've got that figure. And normally I would like that figure, but the reason I couldn't keep that one on my shelf was it's too damn tall.
You know, I gotta say, they need to go back. If they're gonna reintroduce a Hobgoblin, they need to go back to that retro original costume. It's so timeless. It looks phenomenal. The toy looks great. I just reread the Hobgoblin saga just recently, and it was way better than I remember. And also, people even said, like everyone's it's not very good. I actually like the idea that Ned leads and all that stuff. Like it's just all craziness. I kind of liked it. It's so bonkers, but. The Hobgoblin look is great. I actually have that the new one pre-ordered right now, and I cannot wait to get it. I've got a bunch of Spider-Man stuff pre-ordered.
I'll be honest. I like the new. I like that, and that was from the Rhino Wave as well. The one that you're talking about, Greg. I like that one, but I will say this: I would have loved to have seen what a re-release of that Toy Biz. That Toy Biz has always been one of the few Toy Biz figures that I would go back and go get. Yeah. Just because to me that one looks straight out of like Ron Friends. The only thing that I would want.
Sure he's not like 7 feet tall. He's not as tall as a basketball player. And right. And also, let's be honest, if that were going to be completely comic accurate, the cape would need to be down to his butt, not down to past his knees.
Right. But if they could get that head sculpt and maybe a sculpt of like the red-eyed with like the hood back, that would be.
If we're up to me, 3 heads: the regular head, a shadowed head with red eyes, and a Roderick Kingsley head.
Yeah.
Do a shadowed head with red eyes would be ballin'.
Yeah,
ballin'.
That was what I was really hoping that they were gonna do, but they kind of leaned more into the animated series. Paint scheme and stuff like that with this retro card, so I'll probably pick it up. That one may be the one that I put on the wall behind me, and I never just I won't open that up. I'll probably order eventually 2 sets, one to open, one to put on the wall, and then that one may end up getting sold, or maybe I'll give it away. Who knows?
It sucks because I've been wanting to have a reason to open this for a long time.
Figure, I love that one.
I know. I need to.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's one that
Yeah. That Doom figure is legit. Both of them. Both of them are that mold. That 80th anniversary Doom that came out last year.
Right.
That one right there. The Captain America is perfect. Those we're talking outside of now Spidey, but going into Spidey.
But I was just gonna say about this
is the 1981 show. We can talk about them.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say I really like the head on the standard one, like this angrier. I'm trying to get it.
Modern take, yeah.
But they didn't include that with the retro figure.
See, the retro figure looks. I'm with you. The retro figure actually looks really good. I didn't never saw that one before. Yeah. Everything looks great, but you're right. The helmet is not. If you could swap out the heads, it'd be perfect.
This one just looks a little. This one looks a little too level set. Like it's not quite. Like it's almost like a passive expression as opposed to this one. Like I like the colors on this one better, but this one has the better head.
I did get this. There's a couple I want to bring up. I think Zach talked about he got this. I ordered this on. I'm so glad I pre-ordered all this stuff. I got this, and I've been meaning to reopen this at some point. But I'm also like, do I want to open it? I don't know, because whatever, right? I just bought it on a whim at Amazon, like when it came out, and I'm like, yeah, that figure's so good. I have that one too. Now this one.
This one, and I'm hoping that they'll re-release this.
That's a great figure.
The only thing I don't like about this is the arms. Because they did Toy Biz did the bendy arms with the bendy wire in them, and when they did the bendy wire in the freaking Sentinel, I said, motherfuckers, you better release a Doc Ock figure with some bendy goddamn arms to where he can stand up on like two arms and then have like two arms attacking. Like, that is like posability city. Give me that in my veins. My friend
Dave from who was the Father's Figures on Instagram, one of my best buddies, he actually did a. I'm sure he's got something on there, but he showed me how you can make like people had like made those things. And he did one of those like retro, or not retro, but those do-it-yourself custom arms where that you could do, and like they looked phenomenal. It looked so good. This was. My wife got this for one of my like holidays. This was I had to get this one. I loved Eric. This is Eric Larson to the core, man.
I have him on the wall. I don't have him loose. He's one of those that one in the negative zone 1 or 2 that I really want to get loose. If you don't know, it's what's the name of that? That they had a documentary series on Disney Plus. They actually, on the Marvel Legends episode, that's the figure that they actually talked about the development of.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, it was the 616 documentary series.
Yeah, 616.
Please bring it back. I thought it was great. I didn't watch all of them because all of them didn't really interest me. Like the cosplay one, I'm like, meh. Again, nothing. I just wasn't my thing. But everything else, I thought was fantastic. I thought it was great.
Yeah. No, that was all good stuff. All right, so I'll get to my top 5. I'm going to do one Toy Biz one, and I've already brought him out. He's just so damn good, and that's this Man Spider. I mean, this guy is peak. This was one of the best Toy Biz figures they ever made, and it just is so good. Another one, to nobody's surprise, this was one of my favorite villain ones. The Doc Ock. It's not. Yeah. That's an honorable mention. Okay, these two, nobody should be surprised that I'm pulling these two out as some of my favorites. I am looking forward to the new Ben Reilly figure now, if you'll pull that up for me, Neil. But this Ben Reilly figure is great, but guess what? He's gonna get, and then this one, obviously, the Scarlet Spider. I have both the Scarlet Spiders. They did a re-release retro card that was a little bit darker, and the outline of the eyes is not there on the re-release. I'm looking forward to this guy right there. Yeah. Super excited about him. This one will officially become Spider Carnage, though. Like, because he came with the hand swapped and head swap, he will be Spider Carnage.
I actually did buy two figures of him, and I had one left as Ben. I turned the other one into Spider Carnage.
Yeah.
Which looked, by the way, that was a great thing of that run. I thought one of the highlights of that series anyway, or when Ben was Spider-Man, was Spider Carnage. It was a great look. John Romita Jr.'s artwork of that was just.
Romita Jr. was great. Bagley's work was great.
Bagley. I thought Bagley's looked great too. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. The Bagley issue to me of that 4-part series was probably the highlight, and that's what this one that's what this figure, when it has the Spider Carnage head on and the hands, straight up feels like it's Bagley come to life. And so I am so looking forward to getting the new figure and making this one Spider Carnage. I do like the blue a little bit better on this figure, but I don't obviously have the other one in hand, so I can't judge it yet. But so obviously, these are in there.
I need to get that Scarlet Spider. Is he expensive?
The retro card one is a little expensive because he comes with the unmasked Ben Reilly head.
That. Yeah.
But yeah, they're both pretty expensive. That Rhino wave in general is one of the most expensive waves
What about loose though? I don't care about carded. It's loose.
Loose you can find him for fairly cheap. He's probably about $25 if you go on the eBay.
Okay.
If you go on like the Facebook groups, you can find him for pretty reasonable. I'm going to include a movie figure because I think this probably is one of the best representations of what they did in the film. But this is Homecoming,
I have that one.
Homemade figure.
So
great job on this one. This one's one of my again, I criticize a lot of the MCU figures, and the only MCU figures that I regularly collect now are the Spider-Man related ones.
Spider-Man.
I have not gotten the Target re-release of Vulture because I already have the Build-A-Figure. I'd have no reason to go get him, but he's out and he looks great. The little subtle things that they did differently on that really nailed it. It is far, again, it's that situation like I mentioned earlier where they're, with the Build-A-Figure, they're based off of concept art, and then they come back and do this this exclusive fan channel thing where they re-release where it looks more comic accurate. So Greg, you okay, buddy? You look tired. Yeah, you fighting? Did you catch Omicron too, or are you just?
I hope not.
Oh God! All right, buddy.
I got the Vulture Build-A-Figure for my friend Father Figures. I was in his wedding. He got that for me for a wedding present.
That's cool.
Or a groomsman present. It was so awesome. I was so pumped.
Yeah, I'm missing one piece of that Vulture Build-A-Figure, but it's a great. I was very critical at the time because it's like, okay, of that wave, but that has really grown on me. That's one of my favorite Build-A-Figures that they produced. I would say the Sandman, I like the Hulk Goblin. Like, as somebody that doesn't hate Ultimate and enjoyed that and because I read it in a trade, the Hulk Goblin, it's a very, now this is a knockoff. I sold my my original Hulk Goblin, and you can barely tell this is a knockoff. It's one of three knockoffs that I own. I own a knockoff Pizza Slice that I got on eBay for like super cheap. There's only one thing that you can tell, and he's got a squeaky torso. That's the big thing. That's the difference between the two. Otherwise, and the coloring on some of the accessories on the pizza, it's the that's really the only difference. Everything else is pretty good. This knockoff is actually not bad. Either on the Hulk Goblin, but yeah, I really so I want to say the Spider-Girl one, but I have issues with it because there've been other female figures that have released since then that I'm like, okay. But I will say this. One of my all-time, as I'm reaching over, about to fall over, I will say this. The second iteration of Carnage is better than the first. And I love the first one. This was a gift. This was a gift from Venkman. He comes with the unmasked head. He comes with the extra accessories.
Yeah. That's good.
This is from the Venom wave, the first Venom wave that they had that was exclusively Venom. Phenomenal figure, great figure. Again, a top 5, and then
if you have that, you don't need the Mafex.
No, I like the Mafex looks great. That one is the most accurate to the comics out of them all, but it's also 3 times the price as the Marvel Legends one. So it's like, okay, do I, if you're Tyler, fan of the show, friend of the show, Symbiote bro, you collect everything symbiote, you got to have that Mafex. You got to have this one, because that's your collection, right? One that I have not acquired, I have been trying to get because he's finally out, is Nova. But I love
him too.
Same. I thought he was. Is that the classic vintage Nova?
Yeah.
It is the Richard Rider Nova. It gets into the problems I have with Marvel Legends. And this is where...
Is it exclusive? Is it exclusive?
Yes, it is a Walgreens exclusive.
So it's Walgreens. Okay, I gotta go there then. Dang.
Yeah, but here, and this is where we'll get into this. So, okay, Obviously, we talked about Toy Biz or KB Toys exclusive, with the Scarlet Spider and 2099 and stuff like that. And there was the Mary Jane figure was a Toy Biz exclusive, or Toys R Us exclusive.
Toys R Us.
Yeah, they had. So what happens is now Hasbro has certain groups that they give exclusive license to. Walmart, Walgreens, and then they do a fan channel exclusive. Those are your GameStops, Entertainment Earth, Dark Side Toys, all these online retailers. Those are generally easier to get, the fan channel exclusives, because you have multiple streams. The problem that you run into, and this started, one of the first ones, Spider-Man related, was this guy, Agent Venom.
Oh yeah,
he was
boy.
He was a Walgreens exclusive. I had to pay $35 for this guy. So $15 above, or no, $40. I had to pay twice the amount that he cost at Walgreens because I could never find him. And that's where Walgreens is probably the most frustrating retailer.
Yes.
Then instead of doing a Fantastic Four wave, the classic Fantastic Four figures were all Walgreens exclusive. It's one of those things, if you did not pick them up when you saw them, you did not get them. Like, if you see them, you almost have to buy them because they're not going to be there. Because they usually get 3, maybe 4, unless they're Namor or Medusa or Bane of Everybody's Existence, Black Ant, and which was just a repaint. It didn't even look like Black Ant, Neil. And the yellow Daredevil figure. The only good.
Real
only.
quick, I do need to go to. I know we've still got. What do we got? Another hour of this?
Probably about 30 minutes. So you got to jump off.
I've got to go to bed. I've got work in the morning. But yeah, thank you for letting me play producer. It was kind of fun, just being able to hop in every once in a while rather than being a constant presence.
No, you're welcome, man. I appreciate your help. You've been a big help tonight, and
also apologies for breaking my good boy streak.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine, buddy. I just was giving you hell.
Bye, Neil.
All right. Bye, Neil.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Greg. I'm assuming Greg's jumping off too. So good night, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Good night.
We'll see you soon. We'll do this again, and you can talk a little bit more. So,
all right.
But this gets it. Bye, Greg. This gets into my biggest con of the Walgreens is one of the most frustrating, but I'll tell you equally is Walmart. I've only ever seen 1, maybe 2 Walmart exclusives that actually hit the shelf. And that was there was a Black Panther that had like the Wakandan vibranium from the movie. The purple highlights. He was Walmart exclusive, and then I saw the Thanos Walmart exclusive. Not to be confused with the last year's deluxe figure. But then this year, they also finally released a classic Doctor Strange, and he's Walmart exclusive, and I have not seen him, and you won't see him. Like, if you see him in the wild, it's going to be crazy. It's just so frustrating because that's a figure that everybody has wanted, is a classic Doc Strange, because we haven't gotten one. And to me, it was mind-boggling why they didn't include him in the Doctor Strange movie wave. Well, that to me is just mind-boggling.
It's funny because Star Wars, they don't do too many exclusives every once in a while, but not very often. It feels like, I'm sure they do it more than I realize, but for Black Series anyway, I don't really accept. They did a big Clone Wars when they did the last season of Clone Wars. They did an Ahsoka and 2 Mandalorian soldiers exclusive to Walmart. I pre-ordered those mothers as soon as I could, and let me tell you, I am so glad I did, because those were you're never gonna find those anywhere.
What I find with the Black Series guys is that they tend to do, when they do exclusives, and I may be wrong. This is just me being an outside observer and not being like deep in the Star Wars lore. What I have found is that they tend to do repaints on the exclusives, like specific repaints. Because like I watch the Fwoosh, and Robo does his.
I watch
Fwoosh.
any of that stuff, so I have no idea.
Yeah, so there's a YouTube channel called the Fwoosh. They're a big toy community, and Robo is one of the hosts, and he does a weekly recap of what's coming, what they announced that week all across all the lines, and they do he always does Star Wars Black Series, and he talks about how a lot of times you'll see like these repaints, if they're Walgreens exclusive, you're not feeling like you're missing out. That's where I get very frustrated. That's why I was so happy that this retro card, Fantastic Four Wave, was released to the general public, and they're everywhere. They're at Target, they're at Walmart, they're at GameStop. For all those people that missed out, guys like Vinkman, who sat there and couldn't get those Walgreens. I paid $50 for the thing. Online. I managed to pick up Johnny. I managed to pick up Reed. I managed to pick up Sue at Walgreens. But I'm telling you, in the last year and a half, and I even managed to pick up the Silver Surfer re-release, both Silver Surfers. I still have the regular one. I did sell the. I never even opened them. I saw them. I bought them. The worthy Silver Surfer, the one that's kind of a little more darkened, with that came with Mjolnir and stuff. I sold him, but I paid through the nose for that thing. I don't need the burn suits. The only one that I was really like, oh man, is that unflamed Johnny. Yeah. That one I'm like, oh, maybe I can get the Fantastic Four. But now I have most of that complete team. The only way I would probably do that is if I sold outside of Herbie. I would, if I sold the classic FF.
Yeah,
because it's one of those things where.
Because I'm in a similar boat. Because I'm like, do I keep both of them so I have both versions of the costumes, or do I just keep the burn ones? Because one of my dreams is that I'm hoping they'll eventually do a She-Hulk in the FF outfit, so I can have like the latter half of represent the latter half of the burn run.
I honestly, and I would love to see maybe with She-Hulk, and this is another thing they've weirdly done with Marvel Legends too. I remember they did the Onslaught wave, except it wasn't Onslaught, it was Red Skull's Onslaught, and so the head of the Onslaught figure was the Red Skull, and then like the very next wave they come out with, Kitty Pryde suddenly has this extra head sculpt with that completes the Onslaught figure. That's not that's one of the weird ones. The other weird one I remember was the hover chair Xavier came with the Shadow King head swap for Kingpin. Why? No one knows why. Just assumed you had that figure. I sold my Kingpin. I shouldn't have. I got all the Build-A-Figure. I sold him. I haven't got the fan channel exclusive. That's another one. There's like five fan channels that I have not bought yet. Again, last year finances were tight, and going into this year, and so it's been tough. But no, I am. But exclusives are probably the biggest bane of my existence. And if I can get that, so like for me, I unironically love the Round Robin Psychics Revenge deal.
Yeah.
So, hang on. Yes, wife. Oh, I thought you were asleep. My bad.
I can't fall asleep. I took a nap for 30 minutes, and then you came and woke me up.
I'm sorry.
So now I can't go back to sleep.
My wife can't go back to sleep. Anyway.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah. So, like I unironically love that storyline. I have Moon Knight. I have Night Thrasher. I have, which I'm hoping the Speedball's coming.
Who else is on here?
Yes.
We got Paul.
Hi, Paul.
He's not.
I'm Bankman.
So, we had Greg for a little bit, and then we had, but Greg was Yeah, Greg bounced. Neil bounced too. He was playing producer. You missed all that.
No, I saw for a minute.
But so I have of that core group of 5 or 6 people. The only one I'm missing is Nova.
Have you pulled
Yeah.
from your fancy ones?
And we can't.
From what?
Because I think
Yeah, I've showed those off. Not today, but I've showed those off. Go ahead, Bingman.
But I think the exclusives is frustrating, but that also ties into, I think, the 2 biggest problems, not just with Marvel Legends, but modern toys in general, which is poor distribution in general.
Yes.
And the fact that they're not making and low production runs. They're not producing enough figures to meet demand of a lot of this
or
stuff.
they
'Cause
release
even things-
or they're contractually, obligated to release waves. Like, I don't know, the Eternals wave that is, shelf warming right now, or peg warming right now, and you have there's every about 2 or 3 years there is a absolute dud wave that nobody wants. The demand is not there, and what happens is it gets to that distribution issue. I remember the Ant-Man and the Wasp wave. They had Ant-Man and Janet sat there and peg warmed everywhere. Could not get rid of those things quick enough. Even on clearance, they were sitting there shelf warming. And I got a feeling that these Eternals wave is just gonna, but one of the problems is that the release cycle is so tight that because there is so much content coming out. Last year you had the Disney Plus wave. You had 2 Disney Plus waves that came out last year. You had the Eternal. You had the No Way Home wave. You got the dude. Jealous. Should have got him when I saw him. That's on me. Like Sarah is such a huge fan of WandaVision. Unironically loves WandaVision. If she could get Wanda is become her favorite, one of her favorite characters. Period. I know
those would look really good in that blank space right there.
I know, honey. They're hard to find. So we did see the Marvel Select Wanda today, and that looks gorgeous. That is a gorgeous figure. I don't like the articulation as much on the Marvel Selects, but the sculpts are generally pretty damn good. But they don't really scale well with Marvel Legends because they're 7-inch versus 6-inch. But like what you say, the problem is that some of these release dates are so tight. What I think, the No Way Home wave. I'm sorry, they shouldn't have put Doctor Strange with the No Way Home wave. That was a mistake, especially when you're going to be releasing Multiverse of Madness as a separate wave, and you got the same figure twice, back-to-back waves. I thought was just a massive mistake. Particularly when you're going to get 3 different variations of MCU Doctor Strange. That classic Doctor Strange from the comics should have been in that wave, in my opinion. I know some of that had to do with the release, the movie releases being pushed around, and I know that's certainly not helped a lot. I know that's one of the reasons. Eternals sat there and it got leaked, and the buzz was not there at all. But yeah, the distribution and the limited runs, you almost have to pre-order. Yeah. If you don't pre-order, it's which frustrates me because the thrill of the hunt, of going out and what Paul was talking about, going through the toy aisle and seeing that figure that you've been wanting and being like, I can get it now. There is that nostalgic aspect where we grew up, and granted, these guys were $7, okay? They were $7 figures. Now it's $22.
Yep.
And the quality of them has gone up because obviously the cost has gone up, and as the cost has gone up, the quality's gone up. Don't misunderstand. They're no longer an impulse buy though, and it's now the action figure section is more tailored towards the collectible person than it is tailored to kids. you almost get scared giving these figures to kids to play with because, are they going to break?
I'm going to push back on that a little bit because I thought the same thing. There's a great YouTuber, and I'm sure you, Bankman, you seem like you probably know this guy. Speculative create. Oh my god. Oh, I gotta find his name. He's something. He's an Spectre Creative or something like that. Hold on, I'll get his name.
Oh God, you're putting me.
Put him on the spot.
Okay. No, well, here's the thing. I know who you're talking about. He's full. Yeah. There is a 4-letter word, and he's full of it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. He makes a lot of sense. Spectre Creative. Bankman, we can agree to disagree on this, brother. Because here's the deal.
He's a snake oil salesman.
Maybe he is, but if someone who's actually in the business and ran toy lines, I'm gonna. I'm not.
Bankman, let him speak, and then we'll.
So you can disagree, and you can hate his guts. You can think he's full of crap. The one thing I'll say is that he talks about how everyone, the misconception of toys is that it's all tailored to collectors, and he said that's just not feasible. And what he says makes a lot of sense, because he said, like, if that was the case, then like He-Man's a great example. That He-Man toys, he could not get anyone to buy these toys for only a very small section of people, because it's very isolated for collectors. Right now, Marvel's a lot bigger. I get it. The reason why I think he's right is because my nephew is like 9 or 10 years old. He loves figures. And he said the one thing that drives all these figures are still moms, gift givers, and again, kids are still buying it. Yes, it's aimed at collectors, but we're way more of a smaller portion of that than we realize. And I definitely agree with that, because I see kids still wanting to buy those figures in the lines. My nephew he got a ton of Marvel Legends this year. A ton. And when my friend gave me a ton of his Marvel figures that he got, Legends figures, and I gave him a bunch of ones that I didn't want, and he was stoked. And I definitely feel that that's a misconception to an extent. I don't think maybe it's smaller or bigger than we think it is.
I do see, like, in the toy groups that I follow, because I follow a lot of toy groups, like, on Facebook, and you'll see, like, dads that, like, I remember this guy, especially around Christmas, these guys were flexing, man. You could just tell that they had been spending, like, the entire year, like, gathering up waves, right? And, like, this one dad, I think he probably gave his son, like, 45 different Marvel Legends, right? I mean, this dude went all out, and, like, Santa Claus and Dad teamed up, and they just went bonkers, right? I get what you're saying, like, Venkman, because I think I've heard about this guy before, and there is some issues with some of his credit. There's some credibility issues that he has.
Yeah.
Amongst the collector community, but I get what you're saying, Paul. I don't think.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
So I don't want to discount what you're saying, because I think part of what he says is true. There's just some other claims that he's made about other things,
and that's fine.
Toy wise,
and maybe so.
And that's something that we can debate that on our Discord.
And to be honest, and I'll be honest too. I don't stay too closely to, like, the toy, like, community, because I'll be honest, it's insane. Like, there's a lot of insane people in there.
Oh, dude, no, don't.
And so that's why I'm saying that. And this guy, the reason why I believe a lot of stuff this guy says is only because, and not everything. I mean, I don't watch all his videos, but when he makes points like that, it adds up, because there's no way there's that many collectors in the world that are going to drive Marvel Legends sales to do all what they're doing. It's part of it, or definitely a portion of it. But if we were the only ones, it'd be Super 7. I mean, because that's the thing. That's what it would be, and that's just not what Marvel Legends is.
Yeah, the SH figure words, and I think that the pinless technology that they're trying to implement now is 100% based off of what the Japanese market has done with NECA and Amazing Yamaguchi, the posability of some of those that have been brought forth. Marvel Legends is trying to bring, the Hasbro team is trying, and that's the one thing I'll say. The guys like Dan and Dwight, the guys that run those streams, they go on to they love to go on Instagram and they love to just go see what the modding community does, because some of those guys they can paint better than the paint jobs that we get, and it goes to the quality issue, that the QC issues that inevitably happen with Marvel Legends. That is a big problem, because you're doing it to your point, Paul, it's such a massive scale that when you're doing that, you're inevitably going to see small, minor QC issues. Shartimus Prime is one of my favorite reviewers. I don't agree with a lot of some of the things he says. Same thing with Robo. Him and Robo are probably my favorite reviewers. Shartimus and Shartimus's big thing, he loves the big time Spidey. That's I think one of his favorite versions of Spider-Man costumes. In fact, when they announced it, they actually gave him one of the first ones in package at the convention. I think that was at I think it was at Toy Fair or San Diego. And so they do pay attention to the community. I will say that.
Sure.
They have done a good job fostering that community. But you're right. There is some bonkers stuff. But that's again, goes back to the biggest problems that I see with that. There are so many damn exclusives. Last year, pretty much there was no retro card wave. It was all exclusives. And they're hard. What happens is that if you don't get them in that initial run, they're so hard to find.
I regret not getting Kingpin, by the way. I saw him in a GameStop, which GameStop's the place I have the best luck in, to be honest. I always find toys at GameStop. Always. GameStop and ThinkGeek.
Yeah.
In general, if you can find one of the two, especially ThinkGeek's selection, at least the ones that I've been in, they have probably the best selection. GameStop it just depends. There's some GameStops that they have plenty of space. And then if they've got plenty of space, they've got a ton of them. Then there's other GameStops that are super cramped and super small, and you won't find very much in there. It's that is of the GameStops, those are such a crapshoot. So but yes, you can find some great ones. And you and me both. I should have never got rid of my Kingpin. There's two Build-A-Figures I never should have got rid of: Rhino and Kingpin. Should have never got rid of them.
Yeah.
I needed the money, and I have so regret getting rid of those. And I'm hoping that they'll do a re-release.
I'm hoping Rhino and Lizard both get re-releases. Because I have most of the Rhino except for the right arm that came with the Superior Venom figure.
Yeah,
that's the only,
for whatever reason, that is
even
the one figure.
Even the arm itself. Excuse me. The arm itself goes for over 100 on eBay.
I remember paying. That was the most expensive Build-A-Figure part I ever spent. I think I spent $35 just on that arm alone. Because it literally was the only piece that I didn't have. It is that the aftermarket is so crazy absurd at times over the weirdest damned things. And that Rhino wave, that arm is one of the reasons. You can find the torso all day long. You can find the head from the Scarlet Spider figure all day long. One of the legs is pretty expensive. I think it's the Kraven, which that Kraven is a great modern Kraven. Looks just like it's straight out of Grim Hunt. I wish I would have gotten that 2-pack that had from Kraven's Last Hunt. That's more classic. I hope they ever that's amongst. So if we going through a wish list,
Yes.
I'd love to see Craven get re-released, Rhino
Yeah.
and Lizard get re-released. Maybe with a different head sculpt on Lizard, because I never liked that head sculpt. It was too much of a
Yeah,
dinosaur.
me neither.
He had this mile-long tongue, and I'm like, this is not Lizard. I don't know where you got this from. I would love to see like a McFarlane Lizard head, or Lizard head from the '90s show, or both.
Yeah.
I think the '90s show is probably the best incarnation of Lizard, to be honest. Besides like the original, or not original, Romita stuff. I like Romita as Lizard, and Lizard's a hard character to get right for some whatever reason. But I think like the animation did the animated series did a great job.
The torso is great. I never was a huge fan of the way they did the legs, though. I love the tail, and this is obviously incomplete. I don't have the rest of them, but it was a really good Build-A-Figure. That wave in general, I'd love to see Noir get re-released, maybe with the hat this time.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have the hat. I'd love. So there's a few re-releases that I'd love to see. I love that we finally got Shriek.
Yeah.
I need to get that.
I need to get her.
I need to get that so bad.
Now that we need a Carrion, desperately need a Carrion.
Yes.
That to me is one of those that is well overlooked. We've already gotten the '90s Morbius now. We need a Carrion.
Yep.
We need Night Watch. I think
a Night Watch. If
I'm
we're going
totally
'90s,
kidding. I'm totally kidding. By the way,
Yeah.
we would not need a Night Watch.
dude, we're getting a Sleepwalker. If we're getting a Sleepwalker, we're getting a Night Watch. Okay, '90s nostalgia is at an all-time high.
Dude, I pre-ordered that so quick. Oh, so happy Sleepwalker's coming.
Let's
so
see.
Happy.
They finally, did the web armor.
What'd you say, Makeman?
Yeah.
Which one? You said you.
Well, I think
you
a
mentioned
lot
someone.
of people are saying is like we talk about Doc Ock a lot, but we definitely need the Armani suit.
Oh, of course.
Oh
Belongs.
yes.
I think it's gonna
Well,
happen.
that's-
I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah. But even though this is a great comic book
It's a
art,
great figure.
it would be nice. It would be nice if they did, in addition to that you do not just like
The 90s
the '90s show, but do an animation accurate '90s show one, because this is the very first figure, and this is not entirely animation.
I always liked that
accurate.
costume. That was I thought that was a good, solid costume, inspiration, being inspired by the comic version, but doing its own thing, and it kind of made sense with the armor the shoulder pads. I kind of liked that a little bit.
The only thing about this is that they never get.
What I think will happen, there will be a entire No Way Home based, or Spider-Man 2, or like the Raimi verse, Green Goblin, Tobey Maguire. Those two, I'm almost positive they're going to get re-released similar to what they did with X-Men.
Yes.
I think that's going to happen.
Those.
I think we're getting those. I think we're also going to probably get a Melina, both with
we should.
With some different head sculpts. I think that should be something that we get. I think that I honestly would like to see them do I think there'll be an Into the Spider. Yes, Across the Spider-Verse. I think is going to be one that happens.
I need to get the Prowler from the Spider-Verse. I love that interpretation of the character.
That was the one Spidey wave that I had Gwen, I had Miles. I guess I could have gotten the Miles one and the Peter B. Parker. That one was one of those I just didn't get, and I was okay with that. That was the one wave I was like, okay, but yeah, no, I think that those are the. We'll get together. I think what we ought to do is we'll get together on the wish list, what we want to see, because this is again something we'll do a few times in a year, not obviously monthly, but I've got some feelers out for some other people to bring on aboard, because we're kind of getting to the 2-hour mark, and we're trying to keep these not going too far. First of all, I've had a blast discussing this, and hopefully if you're listening to us, you go back and you'll watch the episode on YouTube.
I've enjoyed it too.
And we'll do this more often. But yeah, there's so much I could probably spend another 3 hours talking about various things. But this was kind of, I wanted to do an hang on. Do that again, babe. Because my wife.
You really could.
and she knows it, and she knows that my addiction goes beyond the comics. It's a disease.
Yeah.
But as we kind of start talking about these things and kind of winding down, I am so looking forward to what this year is going to be. It's the 60th anniversary. I think they're going to be pulling out all the stops. We talked a little bit about that John Romita Jr. stuff earlier to kind of just start winding this episode up. Hopefully Paul will be back here any minute. But I look. Is there one figure that you can think off the top of your head that we need to have, Fingman?
Well, even though I already pointed her out several times as one of my favorites, I definitely would love to see an updated Mayday. She's got to have alternate hands. It'd be nice if she came with the backpack and also two unmasked heads. One with short hair and one with long hair.
I agree with that. I think Mayday's due for an upgrade as well. I think she was great for what she was at the time, but again, it's been 7 years now. Since we've gotten her.
2015.
The 25th anniversary is going to be coming up next year. Of the MC2, I would love to see a updated Mayday.
Yes.
Like you say, give us some accessories. That one thing I would love to see, and I know it's probably not going to happen, but just because I grew up with the old Batman toys, we didn't get into like my collecting history, but I grew up with the old Batman toys, and they had the cloth capes, and I give me some cloth, man. Like on some of these capes, like that Hobgoblin, man. If I had some soft goods, I see some of these great, phenomenal capes that they're making, like third party, like on Instagram and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of the girl. That's one of the reasons I love watching Robo, is because he does these like these play dates where he gets sent these different and various like customized things, and like anytime he gets the capes, man, I always like just drool over them. Like there's a Magneto cape where you can sit there and just make it look like he's floating in the. Don't get me wrong, the hard plastic capes are cool, but like it sometimes the articulation gets affected because the cape's in the way. Kind of like what you see with a little bit with that Doctor. As much as I love that Doctor Doom figure, you got to be very careful on that Doctor Doom figure, and we didn't get into the ones that like outside of.
I gotta go, but sorry.
Yeah, we were about wrapping this up. So if you know, but like I say, we will do this again. This one was a little bit less. We had less prepared. One of the reasons is my poor wife has been sick this last week, and so we've been trying to.
Sorry.
We've been trying to get through that, and it's been an adventure, but. Just stay safe out there. So we'll start wrapping this episode up. And as we do, want to give a big shout out again to our good friends Vinkman, Scott, Greg, and Jurgen, our Patreons at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the episodes. You guys are the reason we continue to do them, and you guys are absolutely the best. Be sure to follow us on our social medias at Spideydude Radio on Twitter, at Spideydude as well. You can follow me individually there. At Spideydude Radio or Spideydude Network on Facebook and Instagram. Our YouTube page, Spideydude Radio Network, youtube.com/Spideydude Radio Network. Voicemail line 818-925-6631. Thank you for those that have left voicemails in the past. Hopefully you guys leave us a voicemail. If you want your voice to be heard on the show, you can always call us, leave us a voicemail. Be sure to tell us where you're calling from and what show you're calling about. So thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. We will be back next week as we cover the next 2 issues of Amazing Spider-Man. Can't wait to do it. Can't wait to be talking about all the new stuff coming in April. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network.